Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about a movie from 1975 called Race with the Devil, starring Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, Loretta Swift, Laura Parker, and a great character actor who's been in many, many, many movies over the years, R.G. Armstrong. This film was directed by Jack Starrett. Now, he wasn't the original director. He was brought in to replace the original director because after a couple days of filming, the studio was not happy, so he replaced him with Jack Starrett. You'll remember Jack Starrett mostly from First Blood. He played Dalt, the cop that fell out of the helicopter when he was trying to shoot Rambo. That's probably his most famous role. He used to direct a lot of TV movies and TV shows back in the 70s and 80s. But he was brought in to do this movie, and they shot this movie in Texas. Now, this movie was, Peter Fonda was known for, the year before he made a movie called Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which is also a film I really like a lot, too. And he was in, obviously, Easy Rider, and he's been in a ton of movies, Escape from L.A., but he has a long filmography. Warren Oates was famous for being in The Wild Bunch and a couple other Sam Peckinpah films, plus he was in Stripes. He played the drill sergeant in that movie. Loretta Swift was mostly known for MASH. And Laura Parker was in Dark Shadows, the late 60s version, not the 90s version, which is the one I saw when I was growing up in the 90s. They had a revised version they came out with. And then she also had a cameo in the Tim Burton Johnny Depp movie. So that's what she was known for mostly. R.G. Armstrong, you would actually know from Predator. He played the colonel in the beginning of the movie that gets Dutch to go on the mission to find the cabinet ministers and all that stuff. So this movie is basically about two friends. Warren Oates owns a garage. He builds motorcycles for Peter Fonda's character, who races motorcycles for a living. And they're getting ready to take a vacation, and they're taking an RV. They're going to drive through several states and go skiing. That's their plan. Very simple setup. And we get to know a little bit about the characters. This movie's only 88 minutes long, and it breezes by. They keep the pace moving. So there's, for what little downtime there is, there's just as much action or car chases, because this movie does have a lot of car chases. I would say this is more of an action thriller than a horror movie, but there are horror elements in it. They take off, and they're driving to Winnebago, and they find a spot on this dirt road to pull off the road instead of going to an RV park. And they park by this river. And Warren Oates' character and Peter Fonda's character decide to take their motorcycles out, and they do that. And then when they come back, they have dinner. The ladies retired for the evening to bed, and they go outside and have a couple drinks. And as they're like half in the bag, and they're just shooting the shit, and all of a sudden they see this fire appear across the river. And they decide to get closer to see what the hell is going on. And they see all these people around in a circle in robes. Can't really see their face. And there's this one guy in the middle with a mask on, and he's in a robe as well. And there's this blonde girl with this robe on, and they take it off, and she's naked. They don't really show it. They kind of obscure it. This is a PG movie after all. And they start chanting. And this girl lies down, and the guy produces a knife and stabs her right in the chest. And the guys are like, what the hell? And they make a noise, and the cult members see them, and they start chasing them. They run back to the RV, wake the women up, and they take off. And they end up a couple of the guys get on the cult members get on the Winnebago, and there's a little chase, and they get away, and they go right to the police station. This is where we meet R.G. Armstrong's character. He plays the town sheriff. And they go back the next morning to see what's going on, and by the time they get back, the place is cleared. All they find is a little pile of like a little bit of blood and a little bit of guts or something in the dirt. And they take some to test, and then we find out later that it was from an animal, supposedly. But they play it up in the movie like the cops could be in on it, but they're not sure. And this really weighs on some of the characters, like especially the women start thinking some people are in on it. Like they drive to the next place, and it's an RV park, and they're in the swimming pool, and all of a sudden they show these people just staring at them. Like some guys and some ladies just staring at them really creepily. And they go back to their RV, and they meet up with this other couple that's on vacation, and they go out to eat dinner with them. And when they come back to their RV, Peter Fonda's character and his wife had a little dog with them. Well, they find it hanging from the door when they get back. somebody from the cult had broken in, killed the dog, and hung it from the door. And this obviously upsets them, and they decide to take off. Well, they start driving down the road. Loretta Swift's character goes to make some coffee. She opens up a cabinet in the RV, and a rattlesnake's in there. 2 of them, actually, and they jump out. And they end up wrecking the RV. They crash the RV on the side of the road and end up killing the snakes and getting rid of them. It's actually a pretty effective, intense sequence. And they basically fix the RV, and they go on to the next town, and they do a little research in the library just to find out about cults. And then pretty much from there, it turns into a chase movie. There's a really long chase that goes on. The cult members show up in these pickup trucks and station wagons, and they're chasing them, trying to wreck them off the road so they can kill them. And by this point, Peter Fonda's character in Warren Oates had bought some shotguns, and there's a really cool, effective scene. It's really well shot. The stunts are really cool. It's a very exciting sequence. And they think they defeated the cult. All the cult members, they figure are either dead because they wrecked all their cars or whatever. And they end up pulling over for the night. This is the end of the movie. I'm giving away the movie, but the movie's been out since '75. But I highly recommend this movie. They park for the end of the night, and they feeling good. They think they're free from this menace that's besieged them. And all of a sudden, while they're making drinks to celebrate, they can see a fire outside. And they look out, and the whole Winnebago is surrounded by a square of fire all the way around it. On the outside of the fire is the cult members circled all around the RV. And it cuts. That's it. It's the end of the movie. It's very effective. Like I said, this is more of an action thrill than is a horror movie. There are horror elements in it. But if you've never seen it, this movie really doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, it's a drive-in movie for sure. But it's a very well done one for what it is. It's basically exploitation cinema. It's something like Roger Corman would have made. Although I think the production value is better than a Corman movie. They had more money than a Corman movie. Not that they had a lot of money, but they had more money than what a typical Corman movie would get to be made. The acting's fine. You have Warren Oates and Peter Fonda. They're great. The women are great. I really like this movie. I always have. So I bought the Blu-ray. Actually, the Blu-ray from Shout Factory has this movie, and it's doubled up with Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which is another movie I'll review down the road. It's a really good road movie, too, with Peter Fonda in it. I would give this movie 7.5 out of 10. There are some things that aren't that great about it. It's dated for sure, but I really do like this movie. It's a breeze, like I said, a breeze to get to. It's 88 minutes long. It's an easy watch. The little downtime you do have, you get to learn a little bit about the characters, and the pace keeps moving forward. And it does what it should do. It knew what it was, and it does it. And I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a cool little thriller from the 70s. That's it for me. That's it for Race with the Devil. If you've ever seen the movie, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Like I said, again, this isn't one that gets talked about a lot, and even in horror circles. And like I said, it's more of an action thriller, but it definitely has some roots in the horror community. It just doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think it's a shame. It's a pretty cool, effective little flick. But that's it for me. Have a great day, and I will be back soon with another review. See ya.